Summertime and the meal is easy today with my simple recipes for a warm weather celebration with friends.
Summer soiree, easy.
With a refreshing chilled soup to cool you down.
We got soup.
A sassy vegan version of a much-loved seafood classic.
Crab cakes, made vegan.
And my rich chocolatey dessert. Your guests will adore this scrumptious soiree menu. So please, join me.
Jazzy, you're gonna be healthy with the Jazzy vegetarian. Jazzy, so snazzy. We're gonna cook something healthy and light. Jazzy, so snazzy.
So join me in the kitchen right now.
We're gonna cook something healthy and light. That's right.
It's in the summertime. That was the opening phrase to a tune on one of my albums, and I just love the warm weather of the summer season. This easy menu gives reason to celebrate on a balmy day with my cool cashew, cucumber, and basil soup, paired with a vegan version of a seafood favorite, my Not-so-crabby cakes. They're going to be served with a classic cocktail sauce on the side. Now for dessert, get a real lift in spirits with deep dark chocolate truffle pudding. Good. That's sure to please the chocolate lovers at your summer table. So please join me for my summer soiree right here on Jazzy Vegetarian. How did this pudding get the name Deep Dark Double Dark Chocolate Truffle Pudding? I was with my friends and we had had a beautiful dinner, which I'm going to be making for you in just a minute. We decided to go out on the back porch. It was a beautiful summer night and we all sat down and I served this pudding and I served double the amount that I'm going to be serving today. And after we started eating it, boy, were we flying. And so we decided that this had to have an extra special name. And it does, in fact, taste a little bit like a truffle in a fantastically smooth and creamy pudding. So let's just get started. We're not using any plant-based non-dairy milk in this recipe. For the liquid, I'm using just plain filtered or spring water. And I've got 1 cup of water in a small saucepan, and I'm just putting it on a medium-low heat. And while I put all the rest of my ingredients together, I'm going to bring that to a simmer. Now, you've seen me do this before. What's going to happen is when I put this very hot liquid that's almost boiling into the blender over the chocolate chips, they're going to instantly melt the chips as we start blending together. So we don't have to use a double boiler and melt the chips first. Makes it really quick and easy, which of course is my goal. I always want to make things taste delicious, but it's got to be quick and easy. So it is that today. Now, what do we have in this recipe? We have 1 cup of raw cashews, and we have taken these cashews and we soak them in 1 cup of filtered or spring water. We put them in the refrigerator for about 3 to 4 hours, drain them very well, rinse them very well. Basically, what you want to do is soften them up, and that's going to make a nice cream base for our fantastic pudding today. Then I have some chocolate chips, some deep double dark chocolate chips. They are 85% cacao, but you could also use a 70% or a 55% if you want a little sweeter pudding. And then I've got dates. What I've used is 4 medjool dates, and we've pitted them, of course, and I've just chopped them up so they integrate into the pudding once I start blending it together. So let's just get everything into our blender. And we're starting off with 1 cup of raw cashews that have been soaked in water, drained, and rinsed. Those go in first. Then we've got our sweetener. I'm using sucanat today. You can also use brown sugar. You can also use white sugar, any kind of dry sweetener that you like. And I'm using 3 tablespoons. 1, 2, 3. Put a little more sweetener if you like. Then we're adding unsweetened cocoa powder, and I've just got 1 tablespoon of cocoa powder. 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract, 4 medjool dates that I have pitted and roughly chopped. 1 cup of vegan chocolate chips. Now, Let's check on our water. And that's just got a nice simmer to it. It's almost boiling. You want to make sure it's nice and hot because that's what's going to melt those chocolate chips and make a nice creamy pudding. Here we go. Pour that right over there. And you want to make sure to leave a little bit of a steam hole at the top to let steam escape because this is really hot liquid. You want to start blending on low. Woo, you can see that's steamy. Now I've got some really beautiful little cups. So I've got two different options today. I have these little limoncello cups that are really pretty and kind of festive, as well as an espresso cup. You could also use a small wine glass. You could use a little prep dish if you wanted to, anything that's kind of small. And if you in fact want to have a double serving, you can go ahead and use a bigger wine glass to put this in. But you want to get it right into your serving containers. We're going to put this into the refrigerator and we're going to chill it for about 4 hours or so, just until it becomes almost like a mousse kind of texture. You want to get that right into your dessert cups. I've got little espresso cups here. Now, no soy. We've got no dairy, of course, no eggs, no gluten in this. So this is a great dessert for a lot of people, particularly if those people like chocolate. I got a real surprise for you coming up next. I used to love crab cakes, and one day it finally came to me. I know what to do to make something that's really going to be a great vegan substitute for those crab cakes that I used to love. They're my Not-so-crabby cakes, and that's up next, so stick around. Not-so-crabby cakes. How many times have I said that to my husband in the morning? Please don't be so crabby. Well, this is a good kind of crabby because this is my vegan version of my husband's much-loved crab cakes. For about the last 6 or 7 years, I've been thinking, how could I make a vegan version? I want something that kind of give me that texture, that feel, kind of the idea that a fried crab cake would give me without frying it. And of course, with no seafood, no eggs to hold it together. But all of a sudden, one day, I was doing a little something for dinner, and I thought, I've got some zucchini in the refrigerator. And think about crab meat. Crab meat is nice, light white, like the meat of a zucchini is. It's nice and moist, like a zucchini is. And it also has a very mellow flavor that takes on the flavor of whatever you cook it with. We're going to flavor it up with some things that are also going to help to make it be reminiscent of that nice savory taste of a fried crab cake. No frying needed. And I'm going to grate, about a cup of zucchini. And you do want it to be very firmly packed. So let me just measure out 1 cup. And this is a great recipe for the summer, don't you think? First, I've got 1 cup of my freshly shredded zucchini that's firmly packed in there. These are very delicate cakes. If you think of a crab cake, often crab cakes can fall apart very easily. So you are going to be very careful once you plate them up. So let me just clean up my prep space and I'll be right back with you to put my not-so-crabby cakes together. So stay tuned. First, we need to make the breadcrumbs. I'm using a sprouted bread today, and it's vegan, of course. And I'm going to do my breadcrumbs in 2 different batches. And we're going to end up with close to 3 cups of fresh breadcrumbs. So let's get the first batch going. Go. Right, we're going to put all of our breadcrumbs into 1 bowl, and then we're going to measure them into, 2 different bowls. What we're going to do is we're going to use some of these breadcrumbs for the actual crabby cakes themselves, and then we're going to use some of the breadcrumbs to bread the crabby cakes. We're going to put a little olive oil into the breadcrumbs, and that's what's going to make it so we can bake these not-so-crabby cakes instead of frying them. I'm not a big fan of frying in general, but sometimes you really do just want that kind of fried taste. And the method that I'm going to show you today is a really great method when you want that fried taste, but you don't want to fry something. So for our breading, we need about 2/3 of a cup of fresh, soft breadcrumbs. Now make sure to keep extra breadcrumbs on the side. That's what I'm going to do right now. I'm just going to put them right over here. Our breading is 2/3 of a cup of fresh, soft breadcrumbs. And then I have a 1/4 teaspoon of sea salt. Mix that all up. And then 2 teaspoons of extra virgin olive oil. And you want to go ahead and have this ready before you put your crabby cakes together, because once you start making them, you want to kind of get a little assembly line going. And if those breadcrumbs don't seem thoroughly coated in the olive oil, you're going to add about another 1/2 teaspoon of the olive oil. That's going to be a perfect breading for our not-so-crabby cakes. All right, let's get these crabby cakes together. We have 2 1/4 cups of fresh, soft breadcrumbs, and they've been lightly packed, but we've got to flavor them up. So I've got 1 teaspoon of dried mustard powder. To give it a real kick, a 1/4 teaspoon of cayenne pepper. Ooh, I just love that. To give it a nice sweet taste, a 1/2 teaspoon of dried marjoram, just a 1/4 teaspoon of sea salt. And this is what really kicks it up a notch. What I'm using today is 1/4 teaspoon of dulse flakes or granules. Dulse is actually a seaweed, and the dulse flakes stand in very nicely and give it just a little seafoody back taste, giving your not-so-crabby cakes a crab-like cake taste. If you can't find the dulse flakes, you can also use a toasted nori sheet. You can get that at your health food store. You're going to put that in the blender and just grind it up and use about a 1/4 to a 1/2 teaspoon of that. And in fact, if you don't like the seaweedy taste at all, just leave it out. Your not-so-crabby cakes are still going to be, well, not so crabby. They're going to be delicious. But we're going to add our 1/4 teaspoon of dulse flakes. And we're just going to stir that all up. We want to get all those spices and that dulse seaweed incorporated into the mixture. Okie dokie. Now we're going to add 1/2 cup of minced fresh onion. Just toss it right in there. 1 cup of grated fresh zucchini, and I've got that firmly packed in there. Break it up with your hands a little bit and toss that all together. We need something as an egg substitute. And you know that I often like to use tahini. It's the same concept as peanut butter or almond butter or cashew butter. Basically, it's sesame seeds that have been ground into a butter. And as you can see, it kind of has the consistency of very thick whipped egg. So it works beautifully as an egg substitute in our not-so-crabby cakes to hold our not-so-crabby cakes together. So I'm just going to toss this right in. I want to get that all right in there. I always keep a little more tahini on the side. You might need a little bit more depending on how moist your breadcrumbs were to start out with. Different kinds of bread have different types of moisture in them, so you're just going to have to play it by ear with that. We're going to get our hands in here in just a minute. But as you can see, the tahini is really starting to hold these not-so-crabby cakes together. All right, got to get my hands in there. Just wash my hands. You want to start with very clean hands. We're actually going to kind of knead the tahini right into our not-so-crabby cakes. But before I do that, I want to make sure that I have my baking pan prepared and close at hand. And what I have is a large rimmed baking pan that I've lined with unbleached parchment paper. I've preheated the oven to 400 degrees. This makes about 8 crabby cakes. They are very delicate little cakes. Now what we're going to do is dip it in our breadcrumbs, and you really want to coat them with the breadcrumbs. Why? The breadcrumbs have the oil on them, and that's what's going to give them the taste of being fried. Once you get them on your pan, you want to press them down just a little bit, kind of keeping them nice and round. I'm going to add just a tad more tahini to this, about a teaspoon or so. If it starts getting a little dry, I want to add a little more tahini. Well, that's perfect. Let me just get finished making these not-so-crabby cakes for you, and then we're going to pop them in the oven. I'll show you how to do that in just a minute, so stay tuned.
Get them all ready to go in the oven. Whoa, yeah. They are really, really good.
breadcrumbs, dry mustard, dried marjoram, sea salt, cayenne pepper, dulse flakes, zucchini. Oh, you got fresh onion too. We got not-so-crabby cakes. And the not-so-crabby cakes are ready to go into the oven. And we're just going to tent them very loosely. We want a little bit of that air to escape as they cook to let them crisp up just a little bit. Well, that's absolutely perfect. I'm going to put them into a 400-degree oven, and I'm going to bake them for 25 minutes. And then I'm going to take the foil off, flip them, bake them for about another 15 minutes with the foil back on there, and then take that tent off and let them bake for anywhere from 5, even up to 15 minutes till they get nice and crispy on the outside. I can't wait to show you this because they really taste like they are fried. We need a little sauce along with our not-so-crabby cakes, and I've got my classic cocktail sauce. So let's get these cakes into the oven and I'll get on to the sauce. Classic cocktail sauce. Yes, this is certainly a classic sauce. It's based on my mother's cocktail sauce, which I absolutely love. So I'm starting off with freshly squeezed lemon juice. That's going to be perfect. 1/4 cup of ketchup. Gives it a nice tomatoey taste, along with our nice spicy horseradish. And I've got 1½ tablespoons of prepared horseradish. To give it a nice pop of fresh taste, I've got 1 teaspoon of freshly squeezed lemon juice. A little more, a little less is fine. Oh wow, this smells fantastic. You're just going to chill this in the refrigerator until you serve it. Up next, we need a first course, and it's such a hot day outside. I want something really cool, something really fresh tasting, something really creamy. That's up next, so stay tuned. You want something cool and refreshing to serve your guests. And this next recipe is actually something that you can serve for a light lunch as well. And it's my cashew, cucumber, and basil soup. I often use tofu as a base in recipes when I'm doing a cream-based recipe. And I've gotten a lot of emails of people saying, oh, I can't have tofu, I don't like soy. What can I use instead? Well, you can use cashews. So today in this recipe, instead of using a tofu base, I'm once again using cashews. But I'm treating them a little differently. In the first recipe, I soaked them in some water and then I rinsed them off, and that's what made them nice and soft for our pudding. But for this soup, we've got cucumber that has a lot of liquid in it because it is a cucumber soup. So we really don't need to soak these cashews first. If you want to, you can, but not needed. And after all, we are doing quick and easy this season, and this soup is truly quick and easy. I've started off with 2 cups of cucumbers. I've seeded them, I've chopped them, and I'm going to add another cup of those cucumbers. So you do want to peel them first. That's what I did with these others. Just take it like this. I'm going to grab my trusty grapefruit spoon. You do want to seed these because the seeds can be a little bitter. We're not adding any sweetener to this soup. We're counting on the sweetness of the cucumbers, the sweet basil we're using today, and a little bit of that sweetness that we're getting from our raw cashews. So let me just set that aside. I'm going to wipe my hands off. So let's just chop and measure out another cup of these cucumbers. And we're just chopping them up with a rough chop. That looks pretty good. Perfect. I've got a little bit of cucumber left over. I'm just going to dice that up and use that as a garnish for the top of my soup. Fantastic. Set that aside. And now let's just get to cutting up my fresh basil. I just picked from my garden this morning. I love growing fresh basil out on my deck in the summer, and that's what I have here today, fresh basil. And we're going to use about 1½ tablespoons of chopped fresh basil in this recipe. Just going to stack them up like I'm doing here and roll them up. And then just slice right across. And then just cut across. That's perfect. I'm just going to plop everything right into the blender, and we're starting off with 3 cups of peeled, seeded, and chopped cucumbers. They're just rough chopped. And then I have 1 cup of raw cashews. Then I have 2 tablespoons of freshly squeezed lemon juice. And we're just gonna pop that right in there. A little more, a little less is perfectly fine. The zing from that lemon is gonna bring out the sweet taste of the cucumber and the cashews. Make this a really delectable soup. About 1/8 to 1/4 teaspoon of sea salt. Got 1 small clove of fresh garlic minced. And I'm using a generous 1.5 tablespoons of this wonderful fresh basil. About 1/2 cup plus 2 tablespoons of spring water or filtered water, whatever you like to use. Start on low. That's looking pretty good. That's gonna make a great first course for our meal, and I'm gonna plate it up in a beautiful manner for you. But right now, we need a little bit of a whipped topping for our deep dark chocolate truffle pudding. So stay tuned. So the day that my friends visited, I wanted a nice whipped topping for my truffle pudding. And cashews, once again, stand in beautifully for cream. So I'm going to start off with 1 cup of my raw cashews. And what I'm using here is a teaspoon of vanilla extract. I want a little bit of sweet to this whipped topping. And I'm adding 3 tablespoons of maple syrup. 1/4 cup of a vanilla-flavored plant-based milk. Let's get it a-blendin'. We're going to chill this for about 2 to 4 hours before we put it on top of our pudding, and my mouth is watering. I can't wait to plate up this meal, and I get to taste it for you up next. So stick around. It's in the summertime. Oh, I can't wait to taste my fantastic summer soiree dinner. But let's get to my Not-so-crabby cakes. I like to plate them up with a little bit of lemon and that fantastic sauce on the side. I've got a few peppers here today just to give it a little bit of color. I'm going to cut into one. Look how crisp those are. A little bit of this sauce on it. Let me just take a little bite. Wow, that is really good. If you've been missing a seafood-style cake, this is really going to fill the bill for you. Nice and crisp, nice and tender. It's really, really good. They're very quick to make, and I recommend it highly that you serve them at your next summer soiree. Now look at our beautiful soup. You want to serve it nice and chilled like I am now. Those cashews have become so creamy, and that cucumber, a little back taste of that basil. I put a little bit of lemon zest on top, a little crunch from that cucumber. This is really, really good. So refreshing for a really hot day, too. Last but not least, my deep, dark, double dark chocolate truffle pudding, and it is just that. Look how beautiful that is with that cashew cream on top. I've plated it up with a couple of cookies and some raspberries, but I've just got to give it a little taste test for you. Look how thick and rich that pudding is. Wow. Absolutely amazing. You've got to try it. It is so fantastic. No soy, no dairy, no eggs, no cream. It is just a wonderful, deep, dark pudding. I just love it. I had such a great time cooking up this summer soiree today, and I want to thank you for joining me. The next time the weather gets hot and you're looking to cook up a summer soiree for your family and friends, look no further than the recipes from this show. So until next time, be happy, be healthy, and be well from the Jazzy Vegetarian.
Visit our website at jazzyvegetarian.com to connect with Laura, see video clips, find your favorite recipes, and more. Follow Laura on Facebook, Twitter, and Pinterest. Laura Theodore's Vegan Ease includes all of the recipes featured this season and is available for $26.95. The cookbook is enhanced with over 200 beautiful full-color photos and features complete menu plans, shopping lists, and more than 130 recipes. For information or to order, visit jazzyvegetarian.com.
Change. change.